Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and Kern High School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
And I'm Scott.
And in studio with us we have Samantha. And Samantha, if somebody needed to contact us, what would they need to do?
For math homework help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357. Everywhere else, 1-866-636-6284. Email dothemath@kern.org. We're online at dothemathonline.net. And on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
All right, nicely done. Thank you for taking care of that for us. There's a lot of ways to get a hold of us, aren't there? All right. Where do you go to school and what grade are you in?
I go to school at Stockdale Elementary School, and I'm in 5th grade.
You're in 5th grade. 5th grade going pretty well?
Yeah.
Have you been at Stockdale for a long time?
Since kindergarten.
Since kindergarten. So you're pretty used to it. You like it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing you would change about it? So are you involved in anything other than school? So what I mean is, what are some things that you're able to do in 5th grade that you weren't able to do in 3rd or 4th grade maybe?
Run for student council.
Okay, so did you do that this year, run for an office? Good. What else?
Be able to play sports.
Okay, and do you do some of that?
Yeah.
Good, so you're involved in everything that you've mentioned so far, right? Anything else?
No, not really.
Okay, so I think, do you do music or band or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have that right. Okay, so you're a pretty busy girl, huh? Do you ever have time to, do you play a lot of video games? Or do you play video games at all?
Not really, no.
Not really. Do you know kids that they play a lot of video games?
Some people.
Some people do. Do you know some of the more popular ones out there? No, I don't know either. That's why I'm asking you. I don't know what the popular video games are because I don't play a lot of video games. I know that there's a thing called Roblox. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Call of Duty. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever heard of Candy Crush?
Yes.
You have. I have never heard of that. Can you believe that? Yeah, you're like, old man, I'm sure you haven't heard of that, right? Not a problem. But anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first of all, the math that you're doing in 5th grade, because 5th grade is a pretty important year as far as mathematics goes. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
What are some things that you've already worked on this year?
Adding and subtracting decimals, and we're now on adding and subtracting fractions.
Okay, so you've worked with decimals quite a bit. You're working with fractions now, and do you have an idea what's coming on down the road or not yet? Have they talked about what you might be getting into, or have you looked far ahead into your book at all, or?
No.
No, so percents are probably going to be coming up soon also.
And calculus.
You don't want that yet.
Me too.
So decimals, fractions, and percents are going to be a big thing that you're going to do in 5th grade, okay? And do you know when you're going to do those again? In 6th grade, right? Because that's how important they are, but you're just going to do some more advanced problems with decimals, fractions, and percents. And do you know after 6th grade when you're going to do those again?
7th.
Hey, there you go. You're going to do them in 7th grade. And you know when you're going to do them after that?
8th.
Yeah, you are smart as a whip today. And you know, when you're done with high school, guess what you're going to have to do pretty much all the time?
Adding and subtracting decimals and fractions.
There you go, decimals, fractions, and percents, because it's going to be involved in a lot of your life all of the time based on whatever you're doing, you're going to be doing something with decimals, fractions, and percents. So 5th grade is a real big year for you. You're going to get a lot of information, and we'll work on some of that today. You ready? All right, well, we'll get to that in a little bit. But first, let's take a look at today's Math in the News. All right, well, today's Math in the News actually has to do with what Samantha and I were speaking about a moment ago, video games. So you're caught up on all of the world news and things like that, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I know you weren't. So anyway, brand new yesterday, Microsoft will buy Activision Blizzard for $70 billion. So they're betting on the future of games. So Microsoft is buying Activision Blizzard for $70 billion. Now, you know place value, correct? Like ones, tens,
Yeah.
hundreds, things like that, right? Billion, that's pretty high in the place value, isn't it? It's past million, so it's a pretty high number. But anyway, Call of Duty is one of Activision Blizzard's big games, okay? And Candy Crush, and Scott, are you aware of both of these, or neither, or one, or?
About the same as you. I've heard of them, don't know much about them.
Yeah, well, I've heard of Call of Duty. I know a lot of kids play it. You know, Mick played it for a while. Candy Crush, I may have seen it, but I've never heard of it. I have no idea, and all the more power to them.
We're
They're making
we're
a
not
ton
the
of money
experts here.
doing that. But anyway, I figured let's take a look at this. So as far as the mathematics behind it goes, we're talking about $70 billion, all right? So Samantha, you're familiar with these periods right here. So every 3 spots, you know that usually if we write 4,500, there's a comma right there, correct? And every time you place a comma in a number, you're separating a period. So you can see the periods are up here, right? These are all the ones, then we have the thousands, millions, billions, and they keep going, right? So if we wanted to look at 70 billion and just write it out, it would be 7 with 10 zeros. That's a lot of zeros. Now, have you done anything with scientific notation yet? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, well, guess what? I'm sure in 6th grade you will, and definitely in junior high you're going to be doing some scientific notation. So instead of writing 70 billion with a lot of zeros like that, what you do is you take the first significant digit, which would be 7, okay? Because all the other numbers are what?
Zeros.
They're all zeros, right? So you're just going to go 7.0 times 10. It's always times 10 in scientific notation, raised to the power of how many other zeros there are, how many other digits you need to have, okay? So that's why it's 7 times 10 to the 10th, because there are 10 zeros there. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully when you get it in class sometime, you might be like, yeah, I remember that old man told us about that. Hey, what was that? Activision, Blizzard, Microsoft, I got to buy some of that stock. But anyway, so 70 billion is a big number, okay? So I decided to go a little deeper. Now, Microsoft, who is buying this company for $70 billion, is worth $2.3 trillion. So they had, oh, that's more than one register ring right there. That's a lot. Hey, there you go. But they have $70 billion that they can just go, I need to spend this money, let me buy you. And take your success and build upon it to make even more money. So Microsoft, you've heard of Microsoft before,
Yeah.
right? They're second only to Apple. And you've heard of Apple, Apple products and things
Yeah.
like that, right? They have more money than Microsoft. But I decided to bring this place value chart out for you so you can see some other periods, right? We saw the billions, then it goes trillions, right? So this is where Apple and Microsoft live, right? And there are quite a bit of zeros when you start talking about quadrillion, quintillion, sextillion, septillion, octillion, all of these, right? And as you get into higher grades, you're going to learn more about the prefixes on these, and you'll understand why they're named that based on the numbers that they represent. But anyway, just to look at some of the higher place values on today's Math in the News. 636-4357 is the phone number. We do have phone tutors available most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. This is our 20th season on Do the Math. Did you know that it was our 20th season this year? No. It is our 20th season, and you're a very special guest because you're part of this year's guest students. So you will be forever remembered as part of the 20th season. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
How old are you anyway?
10 turning 11.
You're 10, turning 11, right? It's good that you're 10, not turning 12, right? You're 10, turning 11. Okay, I'm only kidding with you. So you're 10, so you're half as old as Do the Math. And did you know that there are people, when they were your age, 20 years ago, right? If they were your age 20 years ago, how old would they be now?
30.
They'd be 30. And they have kids. And they have their kids watching Do the Math. That's pretty amazing. That must mean I'm an old man. That must mean John's an old man too, because John, you never see him, but he's here with me all the time, and he's been here since day one also, so there you go. All right, well, you know what? We're going to get Samantha, a 5th grade student from Stockdale, to work in a little bit. But first, it is time to go out and see a little bit of math in the real world.
All right, welcome back out here to the Mojave Air and Spaceport. And we're here with Matt Nelson, Director of Operations. And Matt, we've been all over the airport. We've seen everything from firefighting equipment to one of the most incredible runways I've ever been on. I don't think many people experience going 12,000 feet down the road there just because we can.
Right.
And now, you know, we've seen everything that the Air and Spaceport has except up close with an airplane.
Right.
And it looks like we have one right here for us. And I believe this is your aircraft.
It is actually, yeah. It's a light sport aircraft. It's made in Czechoslovakia. It's named a SportCruiser, and a couple things that make it different from other aircraft is that it's got one of the most unusual things. It's got a parachute.
Now,
Yep.
so it's not for you, it's for the aircraft.
It's for the aircraft. That's
Okay.
right. That's right. So this
Wow.
is actually a recovery system for this type of aircraft. And what you do in the event of an emergency is that you pull the chute. It's about 30 pounds of pressure, and that will then open this panel, and a pyrotechnic will then push the parachute out and put you into, land you into safety here. If you look at the handle here, there's a handle is what you pull to have the chute come out. This type of aircraft has a wood composite blade, so it's 3 blades here. The leading edge of the blade has metal here that protects you against FOD, as we talked about, the foreign object debris. So it prevents from any pitting or erosion when you're doing an engine run-up. You're testing the propeller on the ground, testing the engine on the ground here. This is called your spinner here. The spinner just adds for aerodynamics. Anything that creates drag on an aircraft, much like a car, is bad because you take a penalty, you don't fly as fast. So everything's got wheel pants here, pants on the main landing gear. Another feature about this aircraft too, on this leading edge of the wing, if you move over to the side here, this is a little bit of a winglet here. And what this winglet does is it allows the air to go over the leading edge of the wing and then slowly part off the aircraft without having major vortices in the back here. And that gives you a little more efficiency. The slippery, the better for the airplane, the faster you'll go.
How does the rest of the aircraft work? I mean, what actually moves to move the aircraft in the air or on the ground?
Well, you have 3 axes: your pitch, bank, and yaw. This is the way you control the airplane. And so to change the pitch to go up or down, you pull back to go up, you push forward to go down, and if you look at the elevator back there, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go pull back here, and that'll make the airplane pitch up. And if I push forward, the nose goes down. That's your elevator. Now, if you want to bank to the right, you move the stick this way. If you want to bank to the left, you go that way.
Now, I see some stuff moving here on the wings. What are these called?
Those are called ailerons, and in French that means little wings here. So those are ailerons that move opposite of each other. So if I move to the right, if I'm banking to the right, turning to the right, you'll see that aileron goes up and the other one goes down. yaw is performed by the rudder pedals. I'm going to push with my right hand there, and that's moving the tail just a little bit there, and that keeps my flight coordinated. Just like your mom and dad's vehicle here, this is the gas tank here. So you open up this, it has 2 tanks, one on the right, one on the left, and in there is fuel, of course. And this is a little bit different than the fuel you have in your mom and dad's car. This is 100 octane, so it's basically a Supreme unleaded. It's a little more expensive than a Supreme unleaded.
Obviously, fuel weighs something. You know, it's not free. It's not unweighted.
Right.
While we're checking the fuel here, does that also add into how far you can fly, how fast you can fly? Does that come into factor with the weight of the fuel also in the wings?
It does, because there's a certain thing. There's something called useful load. If you've got full tanks, a lot of bags, and 2 heavy passengers, you might be at your limit or exceed the limit of your ability to take off with the airplane.
Okay, and so at that point, you might risk not being able to even get off the ground because the
Exactly.
airplane's just not configured to
Right.
go that heavy.
Gasoline weighs 6.7 pounds per gallon. And even though it doesn't seem like much, when you start adding up, 6.7 times 15, so it's 15 gallons here and 15 on the right, so you have 30 gallons times 6.7. So sometimes if you're planning a flight with a friend with bags, you may not take off with a full tank. You might just take off with a half tank of gas. And yet that gives you about, in this aircraft, about 2.5 hours of flight time. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a little fuel sample here. I'm gonna look for 2 things here. I'm gonna strain the fuel from down here. I'm gonna pull up, and this is the lowest point on the tank here.
So it's just gravity is bringing it down to us.
Absolutely, yeah, it's gravity fed here. And I'm gonna check this fuel against the white. 100 low lead is tinted blue. They tint it blue on purpose, and that tells me that's 100 low lead fuel. And I'm also looking to see if there's any water. Water sinks to the bottom. I don't see any water present there, which is good. Actually, there's no sediment, so I'm checking for sediment and water. Water sinks, gasoline is lighter than water. So that's good. I'm gonna put it right back into my fuel tank here. We don't drop it on the ground. In the olden days, they would just throw it right on the ground here, but that's not good for the environment. And then I put this cap on. It's really important that the cap faces this way. It latches that way because there's so much airspeed and flow of the wind that if you were to put the gas cap, let's say backwards, this could theoretically pull off.
Wow.
Lots of things to remember. There are no extra bonus points for moving fast on your pre-flight check or going really, really fast. Just slow down the process, measure twice, cut once.
I love it. Matt, thanks so much for showing us your aircraft. I mean, definitely, you know, seeing everything else that goes into an airport and a spaceport to see what has to be done. And now we look at an aircraft that just gets off the ground. We've seen everything else that goes into it. Thanks for showing us your aircraft. And we might have another aircraft coming in here soon. We might be able to see what's different between something that's really new, something that's had a little more years under its belt. So back to you in the studio. We'll see you soon.
All right, thanks for that, Matt, and thanks for that, Mick, and definitely be checking out that aircraft in just a little bit. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. Samantha is a 5th grade student from Stockdale Elementary, has been there about half your life, huh? Mm-hmm. You're 10 years old, you've been there 5, 6 years, right? All right, well, I'm glad you like the place then. All right, head on over to the board and we're gonna have you work on one of your mixed number problems that you've been doing in class. So what I'd like you to do is, once we write this up on the board, I want you to explain to Scott how to solve the problem. And if you need a little bit of help, Scott's right there, all right? So you know what, I'll let you select a number, 6, 7, or 8.
6.
6, all right, lovely problem. 5 and 17/18.
Whoa, you want to write it down? You want me to write it down for you?
You can write it
Okay.
down.
All right, so 5 and 17/18
5 and 17/18
minus
minus.
2 2/3.
Whoa. We got a little bit of work to do here, Samantha. Where do you want to start on this one?
Start by multiplying this by 6.
Whoa, hold on. That's a great idea, but I don't have no idea why you're going to do that. What's going on here? Why can't you just do 17 minus 2 and 18 minus 3 and 5 minus 2? That'd be easy, right?
Well, you can't do that because the denominators aren't the same.
Okay, so in order to subtract this problem, we have to make the same denominators. What is going to be your common denominator, the denominator that's going to be the same for both?
18.
How'd you pick that?
Because You can make 3 into 18.
Okay, so 3 goes into 18. And if you were to look at the least common denominator or the least common multiple of 3 and 18, it would be 18. So the top number here, you don't have to change at all, right? You're going to go ahead and keep the 18 there. And the bottom one, you said you want to make into 18. So how do you do that again? We're back to your very first thing you said.
We're going to multiply it by 6 over 6.
Gotcha. Okay, so really just multiplying times 1, but the really specific way that you're going to write 1 is 6 over 6 so that you can get an 18 on the bottom. Okay, let's do some multiplication. 6 times 3 on the bottom is 18. You got that part. What about on the top?
12.
Okay, go ahead and write that on the top there. And what's the numerator on the top fraction?
It be 17.
17. You can write that in there as well because we're not going to change that one at all. It was already ready to go for us. Okay, so now there's probably not much else for me to do. Let's see what you can do by doing some subtraction. Can you subtract the two fractions now?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be 5, 18.
Gotcha. And you're only subtracting the numerators, right? Not the denominators. You got the denominators the same, and you want to keep that same denominator in the answer. Great. What about the whole number part?
You subtract them into 3.
Okay, so 5 minus 2 is 3. Now, at the end of every problem that we do with a fraction, we always want to make sure it's in simplest form, right? That means reduce if you can. Look at this fraction here, and let's see if we can figure out, can you reduce this fraction? Can you make it into simplest form, or is it already in simplest form?
It's already simplest form.
How do you know that?
Because 5 can't multiply anything because it's a prime number.
Oh, 5 is a prime number. Gotcha. If there was a 15 on the bottom, though, you could reduce it, right? And 5 is still a prime number. So that's one thing you can look for as prime number. What else are you looking for when you're saying that we can't reduce this? Is there any number you can think of in the world that goes into 5 and also into 18? So by saying that 5 is a prime number, that's a wonderful observation. I like what you thought about there. So that means only 1 and 5 go into 5, right? So we only have two choices, 1 and 5. If you divide it by 1, nothing's going to happen. You can only divide it by 5. So can you divide 18 by 5?
No.
That's the question we need to answer. And the answer is no, so we are in simplest form. Well done. I like how you did that problem. Good job.
There you go. Great first problem right there. And looks as though Samantha is pretty comfortable with mixed numbers, adding and subtracting those like she has been in class. Well, you know what? We do have another opportunity. You know what? Before we go, that was an excellent first problem. And I liked how you used the vocabulary of letting Scott know that 5 was a prime number. And for your great effort, you've got yourself a meal courtesy of our friends at Grillenberger. So congratulations on that. Have you been to Grillenberger?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, you know what? Now you have an opportunity. You go to Grillenberger, let Lydia know. So ask for Lydia, let her know you run Do the Math. She'll obviously know because you'll have a coupon for a meal there. But let Lydia know because she loves Do the Math and would love to hear about when you run the program, all right?
Okay.
All right. Right now we're going to be finding out some more about the Mojave Air and Spaceport with Mickey.
All right, welcome back out to the Mojave Air and Spaceport. And we're here with Diane. And what do we have going on here? I mean, we went from something that looked pretty new to something. What kind of aircraft is this?
So believe it or not, this is a 1946 J3 Piper Cub.
Wow.
It is predominantly wooden fabric, so it does have some metal in the structure, but all the wood ribs in the wings, those are all still wood. But this is a mostly fabric exterior aircraft. So we've got our metal cowl here, but then everything behind the firewall pretty much is fabric.
Wow, so this is the original design, how it came off the factory line, just...
Well, it's had a few alterations.
Okay.
So we brought it up to modern standards. As you notice, one of the big differences between this and the aircraft sitting next to it is the aircraft sitting next to us has a nose wheel. This has what is called a tail wheel aircraft. And you'll notice there is a proper wheel back there. When it first came off the line in the 1930s, it would have actually had a tail skid and no brakes. So these were designed to be operated off of grass fields. So infrastructure like you see at the Mojave Air and Spaceport was totally unheard of at that point. So we're operating off of grass and dirt. So it's been updated to accommodate a little bit more modern infrastructure.
Land onto the asphalt and the concrete a little
Be
more.
a little bit kinder to it. So so it didn't matter if you landed a little bit sideways on the grass, you could slide a little bit, but concrete and asphalt is a lot less forgiving. But you notice this aircraft also has much bigger main tires, and that is not really optimal for the asphalt. It is still designed and configured to be landed off-field and operated in the dirt and the grass.
Is that where you typically fly this aircraft? Is you like more of the bushcraft, or is that kind of when you can, or?
Oh, as much as I can, and this is a great area for it. Really, probably one of the biggest differences between this and that aircraft is not readily apparent just looking at it from the outside. So believe it or not, this has no electrical system whatsoever. So no
Nothing at all.
alternator, no generator, no starter. So no heavy battery, nothing like that.
So everything on here, I mean, so how do you start it then if it's nothing electrical? And what do you do there?
Starting it is very exciting. It's probably the most exciting part about this airplane. So you actually have to hand prop it.
Wow, hopefully we'll be able to see that here in a little bit. But
Absolutely.
Back to the other things that are a little different. I'm looking at, I'm seeing cables. I didn't see cables on any other aircraft we've seen today. Why do we see cables on this aircraft? Why is that?
Well, tell you what, how about to answer that question, we start by looking on the inside of the aircraft.
Let's do it. Take us there, we'll see what we got.
You bet. There's another fun part about this airplane. You notice the door and the windows open and you can fly with it just like this.
Wow.
Yep. You see a lot of cables inside the aircraft as well. So what you probably noticed first were these cables that are running along the outside of these struts, right? Well, if you take a peek on inside, you can see where that cable enters the aircraft.
Oh wow, it's literally just attached.
And if I move the stick here, you can see that the cables move.
Okay.
And the cables drive the ailerons, the control surfaces that control the roll of the aircraft.
Okay.
And so now all of the controls are cables too. So if you look, a push rod that runs to cables that exit the fuselage of the aircraft at the back end here. So the cables that exit the back side of the aircraft here are connected to these pedals here, and that controls the rudder movement.
Okay.
And the movement of the tail wheel. So the tail wheel being on the ground keeps the rudder from moving too far. And then there's still more push rods and more cables in order to move the elevator back there too. But it's all the mechanical components are all just exposed and inspectable, and as you can see, very simple.
You have your basic displays. Now, what do these different instruments do, and what kind of information do they give you to help you fly?
Right, so there's very few instruments, like you just pointed out here, and of course, none of them are electric. But let's start on the left here. So that's your tachometer. That tells me the speed of the engine and the propeller. So you notice the propeller is just bolted straight to the engine, there's no gearing. So whatever your engine speed is the same speed as your propeller. And so I'm keeping an eye on that to make sure that until it's warmed up, I'm not overspeeding, or in flight, I'm not overspeeding the propeller, because it can only handle, so high of an RPM,
okay.
right? So only so much rotation. So I'm keeping an eye on that, both on the ground and the air. But then in the air, you'll see next to the tachometer, we have our airspeed indicator. And so the airspeed indicator is very important to understanding the performance of the aircraft. So that's very much tied to how fast is it going.
Okay.
That now you can make some estimates in flight, but it's really nice having the numbers just explicitly called out there for you. So it'll tell me if I'm going too fast for the structure. It'll tell me if I'm going slow and getting near a stall. It's not the only indications, but it's sure nice to have that there. Then in the middle, we have our compass, and that is exactly as simple as you'd think. It's exactly as complex as a compass you'd be holding in your hand. It's just a little magnet that spins around and tells me what direction I'm pointed.
Okay.
Below that, we have an inclinometer, fancy name for a simple device. It's just a tube with a bunch of oil and a small ball in it, and that helps me coordinate the aircraft. So I'll know if I'm in a slip or a skid, that will indicate it for me.
Okay.
So if you take out your slip and skid while you're flying, then you'll be a little bit more efficient because it means you're pointed straight into the wind.
Gotcha.
And on landing, it helps you understand, it's one measure of, okay, how level am I? It's very critical to, when you're in the pattern and when you're slow, to be coordinated, because if you stall coordinated, not too big of a deal, but if you stall and you're not quite coordinated, well, all right, that's a bigger issue. So
Okay.
simple device that helps keep you safe.
And then it looks like we have an altimeter.
Yes.
Tells us how high off the ground we are.
Pretty basic one, yep, that's
Awesome.
right.
And then we have, looks like oil pressure and temperature.
So it's all rolled up into one right there.
Awesome, that's amazing. I mean, even for an aircraft that's, you said around 60 years old? More than that?
1942.
Oh man,
She's
at
coming
least
up on 80. She's coming up on 80.
And to see it just still going and taxing up here, I mean, it's amazing to see that owners such as yourself who take pride in that maintenance and keeping this alive. For people to realize that aircraft weren't always jet engines, sleek, beautiful, colorful, and ready to go. It started out simple and there wasn't much to it. So, Diane, thank you so much for showing us around your aircraft. It's
Absolutely.
amazing. And maybe we'll be able to see a hand prop once or twice, and we'll see if we can get that to you guys. But until then, back to the studio.
All right, thanks for that, Mick. Thank you also to Diane, and we'll check out that hand propping maybe in a little bit. But we do have Samantha, a 5th grade student from Stockdale, in studio with us right now. And this is a math problem that an instructor had emailed me wanting us to take a look at this on air. So we solved it for her so that her class could move on with the problem. But now we're going to work it out. Scott, you're going to talk about this problem a little bit. And if you want to, you've got Samantha right here to kind of help you through this problem.
Okay.
So a floor has 486 square feet. The width is 2/3 the length. They want to know what the length is. So that's all of the information that we have, all that we need. So together, talk about perimeter and area with Samantha, and then how you would like to solve this problem.
So that's my very imperfect rectangle that you see there, right? And in order to find the area of this rectangle, we multiply the length times the width, okay? So we're going to call this the length because it's this way long, right? And
Yeah.
we'll call this
The width.
the width, right? But it's saying that the width is 2/3 of the length, and 2/3 means multiply. So if you took the length and multiply times 2/3, you'd have the width, okay? So we're gonna do a little bit of guess and check here to see if we can figure out some numbers that might work, okay? Let's start off with the simplest number. We were just doing fractions, and you know how important it is to work with the denominator, right? So we're gonna look at that number 3, and let's just say, we'll go over here, let's say, we'll make ourselves a little chart here. Woo! Length and width, and then we can have the area if we multiply them together, okay? Let's say that the length is 3 feet, okay? If you multiply 3 times 2/3, right? 2/3 times 3, what do you get?
You get 6/3.
You do get 6/3, and 6 divided by 3 is what?
6 divided by 3 is 2.
That's it, 2. So, I like how you said 6/3 there. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Basically what we're doing is we're taking the number, right, and dividing it by 3 and then multiplying it times 2. If these were the dimensions of the floor that we're talking about, 3 times 2 would be 6 square feet. That's a pretty small floor, right? So we have a little ways to go. Let's try another number. Can you think of another number that you can divide by 3 so that we make sure our numbers work out a little bit nicer? Got to be bigger than 3 though, right? What do you want to try?
4?
Got to be divisible by 3. Something that we know we can divide by 3. How about 9? We'll do one more and I'll have you guess another one here in a minute, okay?
Okay.
So if the length is 9, we would do 2/3 times 9. And so remember I told you, you got to do 9 divided by 3. What's 9 divided by 3?
9 divided by 3 is 3.
3, and 3 times 2
3 times 2 is 6.
is 6. That's it. So if the length was 9 and the width was 6, we would have an area of 54. And my apologies ahead of time to all math teachers who are watching because I'm not putting my units in. That's a really big deal. We'll go back and put them at the end, okay?
It's a good thing the stickler's not here.
Yeah, that's
So you can
right,
roll over on
exactly.
that one.
Okay, how about this? Feet, and we'll do feet squared. How about that? Something like that. Okay, so let's see if we can find a bigger number, because you can see we're not even in the hundreds yet, and this is 486 square feet. What the heck? So let's come up with another number that's even bigger that you can divide by 3.
18.
12, what's that?
18?
18, good idea, let's do that. So we'll try 18, okay? And we'll do 2/3 times 18. What's 18 divided by 3?
18 divided by 3 is 6.
6, and 6 times 2?
6 times 2 is 12.
12, okay, so you get to do a little bit of math over here for me. Do 18 times 12. Can you work that out for me over there, please?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm hopeful because there's a 6. 1 times 8 is 8, good. And 1 times 1 is 1. And if you add them all up together, oh, we got a 6. But then we have a 1. And you can see over here that with your work there, we got 2/16. So we got the 6 part, but we're not even close yet to this one. We're maybe halfway there. So let's jump way up. Let's go a lot bigger. Okay, I noticed that we kind of almost double this or a little bit more, 3 and the 9 and 18. What's a number we can use that you can divide by 3? How about something like 30, right? Because you can at least, you can divide that by 3. So let's figure out what the width would be if the length was 30. 2/3 times 30. What's 30 divided by 3?
10.
10, and 10 times 2?
10 times 2 is 20.
20, okay. I like these numbers because they're really easy to multiply together. 3 times 2 is 6, and we're going to add 2 zeros. Oh, we have finally gone over the number we're looking for. So now, you tell me, the number we're looking for as far as the length has to be between?
18 and 30.
That's it, between 18 and 30. And we got to get closer and closer. Now, looking at 216 and 600, do you think it's going to be closer to 18 or closer to 30 or right in the middle there somewhere?
Right in the middle somewhere.
Okay, so what is the number, and there is one, what is the number that's right in the middle between 18 and 30?
24.
24, you are so smart, I like it. So, let's see if we can do a little math over here. 2/3 times 24, 24 divided by 3?
8.
8, and 8 times 2?
16.
Oh, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. Do we have some room here? Let's see if we can move down a little bit because I know
Well,
you need a little
24
bit of room.
times 16, I'll just help you out, is 384.
Oh, we're so close. 384, and we're looking for something bigger than that. 486. Dang, we were so close. So if it's not 24,
27.
it's going to be 27. That's my guess. Let's make sure that we're right. What's 27 divided by 3?
27 divided by 3 is 9.
9, and 9 times 2
18.
is 18. So now we want to do 27 times 18, and
That
my
is-
educated guess is that it's going to be 486.
It is indeed
Hey,
486.
look at that. So that's a good way to do it, one way to do it anyway, a little guess and check. And we narrowed it down. Instead of going all day long and trying 27 different options, we tried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we made sure we had a range. We went under, then we went over, then we went in the middle, and that was a good way to at least start off that problem.
There you go, nicely done. So one way to solve that problem. Well, you know what? Mickey's back out at the Mojave Air and Spaceport. We had so many great things going on out there. We have a little bonus content for you that you'll be able to see on Do the Math right now. And will also be on our media websites later on, social websites and things like that. He's visiting once again with pilot Diane Barney and taking another look at that Piper Cub. And they talked about it last segment where Diane was going to do it, or at least try, to hand prop the plane. So we'll see how they do. This bonus content about a little more math in the real world.
All right, we're back out here with bonus footage out here at the Mojave Air and Spaceport. And we're here with Diane here in the Piper Cub still. And we were just talking off camera here a moment ago. Both of these aircraft we've looked at are both maybe not made by the same manufacturer, but it's supported. What does that mean? And how have we gone through evolution here with aircraft?
That's right. So with aircraft, you don't just put it together and then buy it and then it's good forever. You don't need to do anything as long as you keep it oiled and fueled. No. So parts will wear out over time, especially over the course of 80 years. And sometimes manufacturers like Piper will discover deficiencies or think of ways to improve things and make better parts. So aircraft are definitely best served with a continuous sustainment. For example, the aircraft next to us here is maintained by Piper, but it wasn't one of their designs. So they're in the United States supporting it and making sure that it's suitable and safe for the United States specifically. So Piper did design and originally manufacture this aircraft, the J3 Cub, but they also sustain it as well, even almost 80 years later.
Wow, is that just due to its popularity? Is that something people can still buy it today?
Well, I mean, you certainly can buy them used like what I did, but you can actually build one yourself. So it's not going to have the same kind of paperwork, it's not going to have the same kind of assurances as one that was built by the factory, but you can do a home build where you can buy all of the parts and from nothing build your own aircraft made of the same parts as the one we're standing under right now.
That's amazing. Just to think, 80 years later, you can still, if something were to break, you just I'll call it up, order it in, boom, put it on, and it's good to go.
Well, it's a wonderful feeling to know that I can keep maintaining it and continue to fly it almost indefinitely.
Like you said, you did hand start it? Is that something
right.
we could witness here today? Is
Absolutely,
we could witness how did
absolutely.
people start an aircraft before you just turn the key on? Okay, we're good to go, and light it up, here we go.
Well, there's a couple of things I'm going to set up before I actually, do the exciting part, throw the propeller through. It's very important for your engine to have the right fuel and air mixture.
Okay.
Now it's got spark, right? You can see the blue cables are running off there. So that's driven by the engine itself, not really an electrical system. It just supplies a spark when the propeller and the cylinders are in the correct position, and it handles, it keeps everything timed correctly so that the engine will run smoothly. But aside from the spark, you need your fuel and your air. And you just don't need some of each. You need the right ratio of each.
Okay.
And so when you're starting it up, you've got to set it up for success. So it's been running and it's a little warm. I don't know exactly what it's going to want, but we're going to try a couple of things and see if we can make it happy.
All right, we'll step back here and we'll let you get it going.
Okay. Now, a very important part is to make sure I'm not wearing any loose clothing. I don't want my sunglasses falling off and distracting me. So I'm going to remove any jewelry I have. Because the trailing edge of the propeller blade is sharp, I'm going to wear some leather gloves. I'm going to double check the chocks, right? Because we don't have somebody in it holding the brakes and it doesn't have a parking brake. So we want to be very certain that it's not going to move anywhere on us. And what's even better, if you're not solo, you can find a friend. Matt, if I could enlist your help, if you don't mind,
Sure.
if I could get you to come over here by the tail. Now I'm going to set it so it's not going to want to roll, but that just makes it a little bit safer. So if you just stand here like this.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. There you go, perfect.
Okay.
Now I'm checking to make sure my throttle is in the exact position that I want. And then I'm going to adjust it. Double check my changes. Okay, that looks about right. Now since it's warm, I'm not going to worry about priming it. I think it'll just go. Contact. Shouting contact signifies that the magnetos are now hot, and we can expect that if the blade rotates through, it might want to start. Okay, now this part is very important because I will be having my hands in the arc of a spinning propeller. Every time I throw a blade, it's going to look a little bit silly, but it's absolutely necessary for my safety. I'm going to have to run, whether or not it starts. So I'm going to throw a blade and run that way.
Okay.
All right. You ready, Matt?
Yes, I'm ready, Diane.
Okay, good. Looks good. It's okay if it takes a couple of tries. Hey, there we go. High five.
Good job.
Thanks. And there you have it.
All right, amazing.
That's how you hand prop an airplane.
Diane, thanks so much for having us out. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hopefully we can come out soon and see you take off one day.
I hope so. Thank you.
Thank you.
There we go, a little extra. We usually save that stuff for social media, but bonus content right here for you today on Do the Math, all part of our 20th season celebration right now. And I can probably guarantee you that we will probably go see Diane in that Piper Cub once again at some point. We'll send Mickey out there, and I can tell you, I don't know if you've ever been in a plane that small, those Cessnas and planes like they're showing right there, but that is exhilarating and very exciting. Not altogether comfortable, let me tell you that, if you're not the pilot of the plane.
Right.
But that is something definitely that everybody should do at least once. You go up with somebody trained, obviously, a professional pilot, and there's something to be in a plane that small after being in passenger planes and things like that, jets and stuff like that.
A
But
lot
anyway.
closer to the air outside in the sky. So
Oh yeah, you are right there. All right, Samantha, you ready for some more work? All right, back over to the board, young lady. Do you often go to the deli? You don't even know what I'm talking about, do you? All right. Growing up in New York, we go to the deli all
Video
the time. and
games
stuff
for
like
her,
that.
delis
It's
for you.
nice, it'd be nice to have a deli in town.
That's right.
But anyway, at the deli, this is another one of your problems you've got here. Ricardo, let's just Samantha. All right, so at the deli, Samantha got 3 1/5 pounds of ricotta.
Uh-oh, you better write that down.
3 1/5. And you can just put R for ricotta, maybe if you want to remember that. And 2 3/4 pounds of mozzarella. That's some tasty soup.
Mozzarella.
So Samantha got 3 1/5 pounds of ricotta and 2 3/4 pounds of mozzarella. How many pounds did Samantha receive? So explain to Scott how you would like to do this problem.
I'm going to roll this down for you just a little bit so you have a little bit of room. What kind of problem is this, first of all, Samantha?
It's an addition.
Addition problem, because you want to see how much you're going to get total. So we have those keywords in math that let us know what kind of problem we have, and you picked up on one of them right there. So this is similar to what we had before. I'm going to go ahead and draw a line here. We have some whole numbers, we have some fractions, and we have to add them together. But I'm pretty sure you got to do some changes before we start, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we have to change and why?
We have to change the two denominators because they're not the same.
They're not the same. So in addition or subtraction, we got to add the same denominator. What denominator would you like to use?
20, because that's the lowest denominator that you can
Okay,
use.
I'm
gotcha.
going to give you guys about a minute or so.
Okay, perfect. Let's change it into 20. So you're multiplying the bottom fraction times 5 over 5, and the top fraction times 4 over 4, and that'll give us 20 on the bottom in both fractions. I like it. Okay. Okay, so let's do the bottom one here. 4 times 5 is 20. For sure that's true. What about 3 times 5?
15.
15, okay. And over here, 5 times 4 is 20. What about 1 times 4?
4.
4. I think you can do the rest.
Okay.
So we're adding together, right? Which numbers are you adding?
15 and 4.
Good. And you get 19 over 20. And then you have some whole numbers. And what numbers did you add to get 5?
3 and 2.
3 and 2. So real quick, we want to make sure that we are as simple as possible. This is the simplest form. Can you reduce that fraction at all?
No.
How do you know?
Because 9's a prime number and
19 is a prime number,
19
right?
is a prime number.
Right. So that means 19 is the only one that could go into it. And 19, does it go into 20 evenly?
No.
No, it doesn't, huh? It doesn't work like that. So it helps that it's prime, and we only have one number to check, and that's 19. 5 and 19/20 pounds, ounces, kilograms. What do we have here? Back to the problem. Are we talking about pounds?
We had pounds.
We had pounds. So we want to make sure we have the right units, just like we did on the last problem. And strangely enough, pounds is abbreviated LBS.
Right, and we were talking about units of measurement yesterday, and we can get into that one another time. But anyway, 5 and 19/20 pounds is correct. Nicely done on that, Samantha. And as part of our 20th year celebration, all this year we've been highlighting some of the students out at the ROC and CTEC with the Kern High School District. And we have been showing what these students do for many, many years. But this year is a little bit different because instead of us going out to record those guys and present it to you, they are doing all of the production themselves. They write everything, they film everything, they edit it, they put it together, every possible thing that they can do in the video, they are doing it themselves. The students at CTEC, today we'll take a look at the automotive technique.
I like cars.
This class is endorsed by the National Automotive Technician Education Foundation, which is an arm of Automotive Service Excellence. So we teach the G1 curriculum. The students that graduate from this class should be able to go out and take the Maintenance and Light Repair Certificate program from ASE and get their Maintenance and Light Repair Certificate. We're also articulated with Bakersfield College for Automotive B10 and B11 at Bakersfield College. So if a student leaves here and continues their education at Bakersfield College, they don't have to take those, the safety class, the Automotive B10, and the basic Automotive B11 are the curriculum that we teach here. We actually use Bakersfield College's curriculum.
I wanted to choose this program because since I was a kid, my parents created a business in the automotive field, and I just wanted to continue that legacy.
I like to learn about the engine. I didn't know how it worked before. I didn't know at all how it worked before. So that's my favorite thing that I do.
Both Mr. Guy and I both have a lot of years in the industry, so we understand what the needs of the industry are. And we take that and we teach our students with an eye on what the industry needs. So some students need to understand how to keep a job, not just how to do the job that they're trained for. Some students have to be brought up to, appreciate their own skills a little bit more so that they can be valuable as an employee, and then later on, even as a citizen of the community that they're in. They do get a lot of training in this class. There's a lot of certificates that the students can achieve. They do prepare for ASE testing, which is standard for the industry. When they leave here, they have the certificate from this class, and all of we're associated with a couple manufacturers. We're a 4-day school, so they get all of the Ford training, just like a Ford technician would take. That stays with them forever. The ASEs are national recognized certificates. They get prepared to take those as well. And then the knowledge and the experience from both Mr. Guy and my perspective is probably the most valuable part, I would say.
This program, honestly, I joined it just because I wanted to learn the basics around the car. I feel like nowadays everybody drives, so I think it's an important skill to learn, or learn the basics of a car around.
We use math in a lot of different ways. This is a STEM program, and we have a precision measurement lab that we do. It's all Starrett tools, brand new snap-on program that we're putting into effect, and where we do a lot of precision measurement that is decimals and fractions, where we will take fractional measurements and convert them to decimal equivalents, subtracting decimal measurements from other measurements to get an accurate measurement of a gauge block that we use in the lab.
I chose this program because my brother, he graduated from, he came to ROC too, but he did welding. And he said I should come to ROC because there's a lot of programs here that I might like, and you could make a career out of almost any of these programs after high school.
And once again, a big thanks to all of the staff and students at ROC and CTEC with the current high school district. Some great work that they're doing this year and providing us with some outstanding features on the different programs that they cover. Samantha is a 5th grade student from Stockdale and is working on mixed numbers, and I'm going to give you a problem right now. And you said you could do this one pretty quickly, so we're going to put you to the test, young lady. 2 1/3 plus 1 3/4. All right, and Samantha, you think you can do this in under 2 minutes?
Maybe.
Oh,
I bet
feel
you
the
can probably
confidence.
do it in like a minute.
Feel the confidence.
All right, go.
What's the denominator, Samantha? Talk us through it here.
You can make them 12.
12, okay, make them 12. Go ahead, make them 12 on your new fractions. And you're multiplying times the other number. I like it. Keep talking to us. Put that 12 down there on the bottom of those fractions. Good. They're going to be the same now. Okay.
And then 4 times 1 is 4.
Good for you.
And then 3 times 3 is 9.
I like it.
Then you
So
add
you're ready to add, huh?
those,
Which numbers are you adding to get 13?
9 and 4.
Gotcha. So talk us through that here. And what are you going to add next?
The whole numbers.
And 2 plus 1?
Is
3.
3.
Good. Okay, so we know the other ones I've always kept asking you if you could simplify, and this one you're going to have to.
Yeah.
We're going to have to simplify. And you say yes with confidence. How do you know we're going to have to simplify this?
Because 13 is bigger than 12.
Right. And what kind of fraction is that called?
An improper.
Good job. We don't like an improper fraction in our final answer. Okay, so how are you going to change it?
By subtracting 12 to 13 and adding a 1 to the whole number.
Okay, so you're saying 13 over 12 is going to be a whole number, right? And then how many are going to be left over? 13 minus 12?
Is 112.
Is 1, right? So what's the whole number?
4.
What's that?
Altogether, it would be 4.
Altogether.
Oh, altogether be 4. But
Yeah.
when you're changing just 13 over 12, you're making that into a 1, right? Yeah. So really, this problem is now 3 plus 1 and 1/12. And now you can write the final answer.
There you go. Nicely done. You
Well
did it
done.
pretty quickly also. And you know what? We do have one more opportunity to go back out to Mojave and visit with the Air and Spaceport and with Mickey.
All right, we're here at the Mojave Air and Spaceport here in our last day, our last segment for today. And for this last couple days we've been out here. We're so grateful to Matt and Diane for being out here with us. Now, Diane, real quickly, if someone wanted to get involved in a career with STEM, STEAM, you work for NASA as an engineer, is that correct?
That's right, that's right.
How would someone get involved? What would they need to go to school for? What's going to help them prepare for that in the future?
Well, pretty straightforward for engineering, right? So looking for an Abet accredited engineering program. So most schools that advertise an engineering department will have their degrees accredited by Abet. That's what the industry really respects. So many different areas of engineering you can get into. So I specifically picked aerospace because I am just completely in love with airplanes. So I picked aeronautical engineering. I selected Purdue University because they had a very large engineering department, specifically aerospace, with an excellent reputation. So you'll hear other schools claim that they have more astronauts than anybody else, and if it's not Purdue, then they're lying. So that's how I selected Purdue University. But then you get your 4-year degree. Now, to make yourself more competitive for a career in engineering, you definitely want to get hands-on. So it doesn't matter if you're tinkering with cars or airplanes or go-karts,
Just something
or
where you're
model
practicing
airplanes,
those skills.
anything where you're hands-on and just trying to make it work. Like even if it's washing machines, anything like that, anything mechanical or electrical, just to give you experience of how these things actually work, give you some context for those equations that you're going to learn is going to help you out.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Dan. Now, Matt, over to you. You know, we talked about the, I believe it's Planapalooza?
Planapalooza close. Plain Crazy Saturdays.
Plain Crazy Saturdays. Now, if someone, you know, around here in Mojave or in the Kern County area wanted to come out, what could they expect to see at a Plain Crazy Saturday?
Sure. First of all, it's open to the public, ages of all ages. We highly encourage the youth here to come around the airplanes here on the 3rd Saturday of every month. You'll see this apron here filled with old and new, big and tall, all kinds of wacky designs, really neat stuff to see with airplane enthusiasts, mentors that love to teach the youth about careers in aviation and aerospace. And we also have a keynote speaker too. So you can start with 0 time, 0 experience, and be afraid of a wing, afraid of an airplane, afraid of a propeller, and you'll have these mentors who will get you into that and start working on aircraft.
That's amazing. Thank you both so much for your time out here at the Mojave Air and Spaceport. We can't wait to come back sometime soon in the future and see what else is out here.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we've just touched the tip of the iceberg.
Well, perfect. I'm glad there's more iceberg for us to explore. That's all the time we have for today. We hope you guys enjoyed our time out here at Mojave Air and Spaceport. Back to you guys in the studio. We hope to see you guys real soon. Thank you much for everything.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for that, Mickey. You know that on Do the Math, we are big fans of aviation. We have been featuring aviation and everything that goes with it for many years on Do the Math. Samantha, did you learn a little something today? Yeah, so I think the problems that you and Scott were working on, especially that one with the floor, was pretty interesting, right? Did you have some fun today?
Yeah.
That's the key right there. I'm glad you had some fun. You are now an ambassador for Do the Math. That means you have to wear a uniform and tell people about Do the Math. We'll get into that a little bit because that's going to be a lot of responsibility on your part. You ready for that?
Yeah.
All right, very good. Well, until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and Kern High School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.